The Spurs are looking like they'll be tested in January, and just overall, what's up with them lately?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, we're the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you're having a great day. And as always, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, the Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. Pick a platform, we are there. And thank y'all for making Locked On Sports Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in this great nation. And as always, we thank y'all for subscribing. We really appreciate that. Hey, what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at the month of January. Alert. They got some heavy hitters this month of January. What should we learn about them? What will this month tell us about this team? Do you already know what this team is made of right now? We're going to be looking at the schedule, kind of ticking off the games that they have ahead of them, and pretty much asking, hey, is this, perhaps their biggest test so far? And then just overall, what is up with them late? Look, Spurs words themselves. As Julian Champagny, the list goes on and on. They've said, they've been playing like bleep lately. We're going to look at some numbers and brace yourself. It's not pretty. It's going to welcome our guest, joining us via audio. My colleague here at Locked On Spurs, co-host of the Locked On Spurs post-game shows. And he is Casey Viera. Casey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs.
I appreciate you welcoming me back, as always. Good to see you again, aside from a Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. We got to change that picture there. You put you in front of the Frost Bank Center instead of the Alamo Dome.
I know. We do it for nostalgia.
Yeah. As I mentioned, again, he is co-host along with Devin Brown of the Locked On Spurs post-game shows. You just go to the YouTube page, you click on the live tab, and bingo, there it is. Every post game this season, and follow him on X at Casey_Viera. Casey, let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm borrowing a topic that you brought up in the recent squad show, and that is the month of January. I joined that show with you and Devin, and when you brought it to my attention, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize that they got a brutal January, not just to mention, Casey, the triple back-to-backs they got to start this month. Oh, and by the way, mix in a Lakers team that they played last night, mix in a few other heavy hitters down the road, such as the Thunder. I can't believe I'm saying this, a Jazz team that beat them. I look at this month, Casey, and the first thing I think of, okay, boys, let's see what you're made of. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think this has been a real humbling stretch for them. Entering, I guess, after the Grizzlies loss, four of their losers of four of their last six. They look flawed in many respects, but I mean, you could look at it that lens, and then you could also look at the standpoint that this is just the ebbs and flows of the NBA season. They weren't going to win 75% of the games or whatever ridiculous rate that they were playing over 700 ball. They weren't going to do that the rest of the way. They're not going to win 60 games, and that's fine. That's cool. I mean, that's what we all expected. And this is kind of why a lot of the things that we were skeptical about at the start of the season, about their shooting, about their inexperience, about their lack of maturity at times, their lack of discipline, they have come back to bite them in some of these stretches. So we shouldn't necessarily be surprised about it, because if we were being level-headed, we were a little bit spoiled at the jump with how well that they played, and maybe believing that they were a little bit further ahead than what we thought. And that still might be true. Both might be true at the same time. That could be the case. But right now, we're certainly seeing a lot of the things we expected them to plague them. Right. They're starting to plague them. Yeah.
We're going to get into it in just a few minutes. What the numbers show, and one of the big things that is popping up right now is perimeter shooting, not necessarily from the three line, just overall. Again, more of that later. But we're seeing that in the month of January already. We saw them. You know what, Casey, I want to backtrack a bit. It's not even just that. I mentioned it on the squad show. Hey, you guys can't even defend the three shot. You guys can't even stop outside shooters. I guess Grizzlies Spencer decided to be Steph Curry every time he plays silver and black. Again, he shot lights out. So that's what's really frustrating. And so far this month of January, I'm not sold on them. In this month, I'm not sold on them. And I look at this schedule, Casey. They had the Lakers last night. They have the Celtics next. They got the Timberwolves right around the corner. The Thunder are back on the calendar. You got the Bucks. I'm going to keep on going here. The Wolves again, the Jazz, the Rockets, the Jazz again, the Pelicans, who've been testing not just the Spurs, pretty much a lot of teams this year. The Rockets again on January 28th, and they close out this month against the Hornets. That is a rough January. And I look at these games, Casey. Last month, I would have said, oh, yeah, win. Yeah, maybe a loss there. Casey, right now, I'm like, I don't know. If I come on January 19th, Spurs, Jazz, and Casey, and we're doing a show together, and I go, oh, by the way, the Jazz lost. I beat the Spurs. I'd be, okay, sure. Yeah, that's the way they're playing right now. Your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're on the money with all that. I think you're on the money with all that, especially considering the Victor injury aspect of it too. Is that it feels like an element that the book is out on these guys, which in many respects was kind of to be expected. In many respects, they have a lot of issues right now that we're going to be that opponents were going to figure out in time, and they're starting to exploit that. We're starting to see perhaps some tired legs at times. Harrison Barnes, has not looked good for essentially almost a month now, because the shooting struggles that he started having were right at the start of Vegas. So I guess about 3.5 weeks now. They haven't been able to get in any kind of consistent flow on the offensive end when those shots are falling. And when you're, like you said, when you're not playing defense and you're not defending the perimeter and you're looking on a half step slow on some of these closeouts, and some of these teams like Utah, like you mentioned, they're knocking down these triples just on, like light work. And you're shooting your threes at a less than 33% clip. 5 of their last 6 games, Jeff, they've shot under 33% from 3. They've hit less than a third of their threes. And then that one outlier was the Knicks game. If you take away the Champagne nuclear eruption, they went the rest of the guys 3 of 21. And so when those shots are not going down, it's really hard to win. At its core, it's just really hard to win games. So if to circle back to your initial point, if you told me that the rest of the month, though I don't think it would get this bad, that if you told me that they would play 500 ball the rest of the month, I don't think you're crazy to say that, because they haven't looked like a team over the past, really since the Cup, that has been in totally overwhelming, with the exception of the Oklahoma City games and then the Knicks game, which obviously was impressive in itself. There really hasn't been much about this squad that you're like, wow, this is a top 4 team in the West. Thankfully, the Oklahoma City things are heavy things, real good things to hang your hat on. But there's been a real regression over the past couple of weeks. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Aggression there has been. And I look at this month again, and you took the words right out of the mouth. 500 ball. At right now, is this time that we are talking, Casey, I'd be please 500 ball. Yeah. Because it's a little bit of everything. It's not one thing that's been plaguing this team since the end of December. Again, we'll get into the numbers later, but I look at this squad and I'm like, all right, well, Boston, I could see them going to Boston and losing. I could definitely see them going to Minnesota and losing. That Thunder game in Oklahoma City, sure. I think what I'm seeing here is a team, Casey, that seemingly, and I mentioned this to you before, and we'll bring it up here, I think they hit the early wall. What do you think?
There's certainly an argument for it.
Yeah.
There's certainly an argument for it. I think they do look like it. Again, they do look like a team that's been figured out a little bit. They do look like a team that has, been a little bit of a feel-good story. I don't want to say Cinderella, because in the grand scheme of things, they haven't accomplished a whole lot. but they do look like a team that the book is out. The book is out on what they are. Yeah, you guys had a good run. You won 9 of 12 without Victor. Well, we get a pretty good idea of how to slow you guys down now when he's not even in
Yeah.
the equation. And even when he is in the equation, it's not
Mm-hmm.
like there's been a dramatic difference. Obviously he is the difference, but factor in all that stuff together, it is cautionary. The one thing I will say though is that they're going to get a little bit of grace here because the rest of the Western Conference, minus Oklahoma City, well, and really
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma City too, they're not playing particularly well or they
Yeah.
have injuries.
Yeah.
So if they do go into a little bit of rut, there's a reasonable world where everybody else, it doesn't really appear, given the injury situation around them, that there's going to be a squad that's going to take off here. I guess just kind of by law of the league that,
Mm-hmm.
that could happen. But there's nobody else that's sticking out. So even if they do hit a little bit of a malaise here, you don't think that they would lose a ton of ground. But
Yeah.
you never particularly know, and with that, and I think entering Thursday, or entering Wednesday rather, I should say, the difference between the 2 seed and the 7 seed was 4.5 games. Point being,
Mm-hmm.
there's still a lot of basketball left to go this
There is.
season, and
Yeah.
and these games will matter. But I'm not, I think they have been figured out, but that doesn't
I'm with
mean
you.
that. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that this will spiral into something else. But I do think the book is out on them for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. He is Casey Viera, my colleague here at Locked On Spurs, co-host of the Locked On Spurs post-game shows. More on that later. When we get back, let's continue talking about January and then get into some numbers that maybe you don't want to get into, but we still got to talk about them right here on Locked On Spurs. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually is going each month. It's easy to say, well, you feel like you're losing control, and who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control, finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps you lower your bills so you can grow more savings. You're going to be shocked when Rocket Money shows you exactly how much you're paying for fill in the blank subscription that you have. You maybe you completely forgot about it. It's going to save you money quick. You're going to love how it tracks all subscriptions, lets you cancel the right way in the app in just a few taps. No more hunting down customer service numbers. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. You can finally see exactly where your money is going to each month. Set budgets, goals, get personalized insights. Look, get the app right now. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. Rocketmoney.com/locked on. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. As we roll into the new year, there's a lot of pressure to chase new you. But sometimes it isn't about reinventing yourself. It's about feeling a little less weighed down. Therapy can help you understand what's been holding you back, giving you an outside perspective on your emotions, motivations, and relationships. And that's why BetterHelp can be such a helpful place to start. They got therapists that are fully licensed in the US and work under a strict code of conduct. They help match you with a therapist based on your needs and preferences, so you're not doing all the legwork on your own. You're pretty much, if the match isn't a great fit, you can switch to another therapist from their tailored recommendations at any time. BetterHelp has served over 5 million people with more than 30,000 therapists, and live sessions average about a 4.9 out of 5 ratings across more than 1.7 million client reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/NBA. That's betterhelp.com/NBA. That's betterhelp.com/NBA. Thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. Access to ad-free audio feed for Locked On Spurs, compatible with Apple's Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat for just listeners of this show and, well, hanging out with a lot of other fans on Discord. You want to go to this website right now, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club. Go there right now, or just tap the link in the show notes to learn more. I think the best way to cure what the Spurs ails them is just to hire Casey Viera. He's going to be the power forward that they need next to Victor and all those guys there. Man, you mentioned Barnes a little while ago, Casey. I think there's also an argument for he needs to take a seat already on that bench, man. I think there's an argument there. What do you think?
I don't have the advanced metrics numbers to show it. I don't. I like to at least have some semblance of stats
Sure.
to back my argument. So I'm going solely off of an eye test here. And the eye test hasn't been particularly great because for a whole extent of it, a lot of what they do goes around the things that he can do and knocking down these threes. And you think about something as simple as that, as him going into just some consistent slump here and how much it takes away with it. You factor that, and haven't even mentioned Devin Vassell. He's been, with his injury too. I think those are two contributing factors for sure with what it is. You got to have guys, your consistent streak shooters, at least be on the good side of consistency or the good side of the streak, and it just hasn't happened between the two of them's absence and the fact that the guys who you have in the ball is in their hands the majority of the time haven't been immaculate with it neither. The turnover stuff has kind of taken a back seat to the miserable shooting, but that's been a struggle in itself. The Harrison Barnes dynamic of it though, I think we are going to get to a conversation where maybe his role is examined a little bit more, if not the guys in-house, potentially outside the equation. We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. And, let's have some fun with this month of January here. And, again, everybody, just a quick note here. This is being recorded before last night's game versus the Lakers. So if they win, yay, go Spurs goes. If they didn't, well, the woes continue. So continuing just after yesterday's game. So we'll look ahead. We'll look at the next 5 in January. How's that?
Let's
Spurs at Celtics. I see how I'm stuck. I don't know. Should the Spurs beat the Celtics? Yes, they should. No Tatum.
Are you so sure about that? The way the Celtics are playing right now?
Yeah, that's the thing. Prior to this month or these last few games, the end of December, when you tell me, hey, that Spurs team that went into Oklahoma City and beat the Thunder, they beat the Nuggets, they beat the Magic on the road, all this stuff, they did it all with Victor. You're telling me that team was still present as of this show? I would say, yeah, they got it. But now I don't know.
And the Celtics are playing about as good as anyone, them in Detroit right now in basketball. I think
I'm going to go with an L.
Catching Boston at a tough time.
Yeah, I'm going to go with an L.
I think I got him with a loss there too.
Yeah. All right. After that, it's Spurs at Minnesota. That's going to be a tough one. That's another
on
tough
a back-to-back.
And that Minnesota team is big, and that's the big issue with the Spurs. They're a big team, and Spurs seem to have issues with big teams.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I didn't mention I had them beating. Well, we'll see if this proves altruistic or not. But I have them beating the Lakers Wednesday for whatever that's worth.
Okay.
To separate what could be a losing streak.
All right.
That Minnesota side of things on the tail end of a back-to-back, that's tough for me to. That's tough for me to go in there and confidently say that I think they can win the game, especially with Victor limited.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Lakers game. Yeah, I have them beating the Lakers in San Antonio last night. Hopefully that came true. Lakers just look like trash sometimes. Seriously, I'm like, how are they still contending for the second seed? And you see video of Redick going crazy, Ayton doing nothing on the court, literally just standing around. LeBron literally having a conversation with the opposing team during a play. It's so weird. But so, to start off this little mini road trip, 2 L's for me and Casey here. This is interesting. Spurs at Thunder on January 13th. What are you thinking? That's tough, man. Because I see the Spurs are built to face the Thunder.
They are, and the Thunder are not playing, well neither. And all signs would indicate that the Thunder would get theirs back. And the Spurs maybe, getting the best of that whatever, 3 games, an 18-day window, not even whatever it was, 13-day window.
Yeah.
But again, hard for me to look at this and think that that's going to happen. That San Antonio, is going there and take 4 out of 4. The strong argument is that the Thunder have not been playing well neither, and
Yeah.
we just saw them get blasted by Charlotte the other day by
Mm-hmm.
40 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah. They got smoked.
Um,
And you know what?
I got them losing.
I got them winning. I got them winning.
I have them going for the road trip.
Okay, I got them at least picking up that last win in Oklahoma City, which would be huge. I think that could fix whatever has been bothering them. A little boost of confidence. The next game will be Bucks at San Antonio. Spurs got the W, right, Casey?
I got a Spurs
W.
I got a Spurs win there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally a rematch in San Antonio, Wolves at Spurs. I'm gonna get the Wolves on this one. What do you think?
No, I got the Spurs there.
All right. Well, those are that's the whole point. Everybody watching in right now. I mean, this is how tough the schedule is. You combine the fact that they have not been playing great, and it just compounds it. Like what team we're going to get? Because although Casey just looked at the next 5 games on this calendar, we didn't even get the Jazz game, and the Jazz, took it to San Antonio. They got the Rockets ahead in Houston. Oh, by the way, then they go to the Jazz again. So yeah, it's a rough stretch here. And by the way, they're going to face the Rockets on January 28th. By the way, that Hornets team that beat the Thunder, they're January 31. So yeah, not a fun time for the Spurs. Hopefully the Spurs can fix whatever's been bothering them. That's a good way to take a break here. When we get back, let's look at exactly what is going on with the Spurs. What are the numbers showing? Prepare yourself, Spurs fans. It's not pretty. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited-time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings up the new boosts, bonuses, and surprises. The timing is perfect, right before games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday with basketball without even overthinking it. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only at FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NBA. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, joined by Casey Viera, my colleague here on the Locked On Spurs family. He is co-host of the Locked On Spurs post-game shows. More on that in a bit. He and Devin do a damn good job on that show. All right, let's look at some numbers here. So Casey gave me a little assist before we hit the record button here. We're looking at the games from December 27th to, yesterday. So through the Lakers game yesterday. So the number could be a little skewed, but we're going to take that sample there. Why are we picking in the end of December? Because the Spurs have openly admitted that they've been playing like trash since the December games. So we're going to look back at that's what they're saying. So we're going to look back at those December games till now. All right, and let's start off with the obvious, and this is the worst one of all. So we'll get the worst one out of the way. This is a 3-point league. It practically is. You see teams, not just the Spurs, pass up wide open, perhaps drives to the lane, to the rim, mid-range shots for a 3-shot, a lower percentage shot versus a higher percentage shot. And that's just the way it is in the NBA. So the Spurs, you got to make your threes, right? Well, from December 27th to January 7th of this new year, the Spurs are dead last in 3-point percentage at a whopping 28% shooting. Casey, take it away, because you got some points about that.
Yeah, at the bare minimum, not good.
Yeah, not good.
Not good. This is the insight that you check in for. Not ideal. I think it's just the fact that you look at why some of it is happening, and I think a lot of it is not the greatest of shot selection. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it is the fact that your best shooters are streak shooters, mm-hmm. and you're going to have to ride or die with them. You're going to have to for every 11 of 17 that Julian Champagny is going to give you,
Yeah.
on occasion, you're going to have to ride with 2 of 11s from deep, like he did after the Knicks game the subsequent night in Indiana. That's just part of the gig. That's part of what it is. And when your best shooters are streak shooters like that, it's tough, because the guys who do have the ball in their hands a lot, like the guy you see right there, like Stephon Castle, like De'Aaron Fox, who are not particularly known to be great 3-point shooters. You hate to put Victor in the conversation, but Victor's not exactly, Dirk out there when it comes to knocking down these triples. It's very easy. It's very easy to have this stuff spiral. And the fact that you're not even, I said it before, the fact that you're not even hitting a third of your threes, and you're giving up, as a result, teams going well over 40%. It's almost an impossible. It doesn't matter who you are. It's almost an impossible recipe to win games. And you put yourself in a situation when you're playing from behind and you need to rely on your defense. If the defense over the past 2-3 weeks was locked down for, I don't want to say a full 48 because that's not fair, but for 3 quarters, you feel better about the fact that they're going to have that these games where they struggle in the half court, like it's been over the past couple of weeks, you feel better that the defense is going to bail you out and create those offensive opportunities and create those points when they force turnovers and stops and run outs, and they get the easy scores. But they're not even doing that. And then when they're doing that, it's too late. Like in the Portland game, you saw it. And I was after the Pacers on the back-to-back. And it felt like that was a 1-point game with a minute to go. And for whatever reason, that felt like it was never really close. And I think it's because the shots weren't going, but they garnered enough momentum down the stretch, getting the stops to make it a competitive game. Point that I'm getting at, though, is they put themselves in that spot by not having the greatest defensive showing, and of course not shooting the basketball the prior 3 quarters. And it's not a sustainable recipe to win this, to win at the next level. If this Spurs team has intentions of playing in May, because the runway for them to do that is there right now, for them to be playing, deep into the postseason, these are things they're going to have to tidy up. I know they got the Thunder's number, but Thunder are not going to be forgiven with that. The Nuggets are not going to be forgiving with that. The Rockets are not going to be forgiven with that. And it's something that's going to have to fix itself out, because otherwise, it's back to the means. And I could see it being a real thing when it matters.
Yeah. Let's go over some other numbers before we get to a bigger picture here. So again, looking at the games from December 27th, 25 to 1/7/26, Spurs are dead last in overall field goal percentage shooting at 42%. And when it comes to rebounding, let's see what we got here. They're actually 3rd in the NBA in that time span at 48. So at least they're doing that well. But you continue on here, and you see kind of like, I guess, the effort kind of stats here. So steals, all right? You're going to get a steal. That's an effort. You got to put effort into steals, right? They're 24th in the NBA at 7.5 a game. So they're they're practically at the bottom of the barrel there. What about points? All right. So they got scorers. Julian Champagny said after the loss, recent loss, said, hey, we got scorers. When Victor's not on there, we're good. We're good. Well, they're on the bottom of the NBA in that department. They're ranking 21 at 114.5. So they're not putting the ball in the basket. Now, they are doing some good things. It's not totally bash them here. They are getting to the free throw line. They're shooting at a good percentage right now at 83%. Their attempts are still high at 27.7 in that time frame. But the bigger picture here for me, we can look at this stat sheet left and right and dissect it, Casey, but it just comes down to effort, man. It just feels like this team either plays down to competition, doesn't bring their A game. We had another appearance by the dreaded halftime, coming out of halftime thing, the last game versus Memphis, just nothing, no energy. Julian Champagny said it really well when he did his post-game chat after the loss on the road to Grizzlies. He said, "You know what? I'm going to be real." I'm paraphrasing here. He goes, Memphis, they just wanted it more." And I think that's what it comes down to. I think just wanting it, that desire. And I don't see that eye of the tiger in their eyes of late.
I love the quote that Victor said after the Grizzlies game, and his poetic way and his prophetic ways of saying, he's got to add a little something to it for something as simple as you said about playing down to the competition. And so he said, we can match up with everybody, then look them in the eye. The bad thing is we look everybody in the eye. So the much more complex way of saying that we play down to our opponents. There you have it right there. But it's true. They do that. And the thing is, they've been doing that since the start of the season. They've been doing that since the start of the year. Right from the jump. And with was the home opener against Brooklyn, that stretch where they had 3 games.
Oh, I remember that.
They were both up by 20. All 3 of them, they were up by 20, and then they blew the lead, or they either blew the lead or they had it to single digits. I think it was Brooklyn, Toronto, Miami. 3 consecutive games. So this is stuff that they've been doing the entire season. So we shouldn't really be surprised. Clearly, they're not surprised because they're outright saying it. Fortunately, they've just found themselves in a spot where they can bail themselves out. But you only wonder how many more times you can bail yourself out with that.
All right, let's before we put a wrap on this show here, we got to address, I guess, the elephant in the room is how much is on Mitch Johnson right now? I think a good chunk of it is, personally. I think it's him. Whether it's his rotations or his substitutions or being just so stuck to that minutes restriction that Wemby's on right now. He has to rally the troops. He has to get them going. He needs to light that fire under them, because I look at this roster, maybe Victor can, but I don't see dogs on this court. That Mario Ellie, that Chris Paul, that's just going to go out there and be like, "You bleeping guys, what in the bleep and bleep and bleep, just get them going." I think it's up to him. And I think, credit to him, after the loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, he did take ownership in the loss. He said that some of that was on him, but he needs, the buck stops with him. Casey, your thoughts? Yeah.
I'm not willing. I don't know if I'm willing to go as far to say that they might be, lacking that dog, that killer instinct. Because I think they do. And I think they, every team goes through, situations where the effort is lacking and you go through lulls and things like that. But so I'm not going to go, I don't know if I'm going to go to that extent yet. I think that's fair to bring up, though. I think with Mitch has got to be better. For as much as we praised him, how well as he handled December, he has not done a good job for the first few weeks of January, for the first week of January. Thankfully, that's a tremendously small size, that sample size that he has going against him. But we're seeing a lot of the things that bit them last year starting to come back, where as we ironically enough changed the calendar to 2026. The questionable rotations, questionable timeout management at multiple points of the game. The Memphis game, having two in the pocket and then still going, still letting Fox, go all the way. I mean, I think there's a loose defense that you can make of it, but in fairness, with some of these timeouts, that the situations that have been going on, and putting probably way too much faith in the guys on the floor to figure it out, you're only if you're on the floor going to learn how to navigate these situations being thrown into the fire like that. And right now, it's the old Phil Jackson thing, where Phil Jackson just, whether it been Kobe and Shaq, whether it been Jordan and Mike, whoever it was, when they were opposing teams were going on runs, you saw it all the time. Phil was just saying, "No, I'm not going to burn a timeout. You guys are going to figure it out." And I think that's all good and well when you got Jordan and Mike and Kobe and Shaq. the Spurs don't have Jordan and Mike and Kobe and Shaq. But in fairness, how are they going to learn and get to that level? Not literally get to that level, in a figurative sense, get to that level by going out and having a trial by fire moment and getting these type of moments out of the way in Indiana in January, getting these moments out of the way in Memphis in January. It's a lot more beneficial having this happen now than to having it in April and May.
Yeah.
By some divinity, June. But in the meantime, though, no, I haven't. I don't think Mitch has done a very good job over the first week. If we're being fair, for as good as he was in December, this has not been a very good January. No.
It's like the curse of the Coach of the Month award. Kind of like the curse of the Coach of the Year. Like you get fired. That's like the pattern. Coach of the Month. Great month. You get the award. Then, you stumble. But no, this is something to watch for. And as Casey noted, there is still a lot of basketball to play. There's still a lot. So there's time to fix what's wrong right now. I firmly believe they will. As Casey highlighted, it's not just the Spurs that are going through it right now. The Thunder, the mighty Thunder. Remember them? The invincible Thunder. Can't beat them. Well, guess what? They're losing now. So everything kind of evens out as the season progresses. Let's hope for the Spurs, though, it trends upward, not downward. So we shall see. Hey, Casey, we've been talking about the post-game show. What are you and Devin cooking?
Oh, the usual trouble after every postcast. That's what we're cooking. The usual. Every game. That's where you can find us once things go final. I guess the next one, as of this recording, what's the next one we got on deck?
Boston.
After this? Boston. That's right. Saturday, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So Boston Saturday. That's the next postcast. And as you know, we got the Thursday squad show. As of this recording, I guess a little bit later on tonight.
It'll be tonight.
Yes. Yeah. So 9:00. Yeah.
There you have it. Again, everybody, for the post-game shows, you go to the Locked On Spurs YouTube page, click the live tab, or it should appear the moment you get there. If not, then definitely click the live tab, and then you'll see it. Can't miss it. Literally, big old red box says live on it. And then you click on that, and you're good to go. So join Devin and Casey after every game. And then, of course, join all three of us twice a week at the Locked On Spurs Squad Show. And then, of course, me here every single day holding the fort down for Locked On Spurs. Casey, thanks again. I guess I shall talk to you later. I guess that's how it's working out, right? I'm talking to you later.
Yes.
You and Devin.
Devin and I. Yeah. Exactly. 9:00 tonight. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, so be there 9:00 tonight here at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Again, thank you, Casey. Follow him on X at Casey_Viera. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know the drill. Go subscribe right now, become an everydayer, and go check out the Locked On Everydayer Club. It's pretty much called the NBA Everydayer Club. And so what does that get you? So sign up. You get this members-only Discord channel, ad-free shows, here from Locked On Spurs. It's a fun thing. Go check it out. Here's the website. You want to go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club. Go there right now. Sign up. Good times ahead if you do that. We'll be back tomorrow as the Spurs regular season continues. So for Casey Viera, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.